It seems like it's impossible to disappear in a city like Shanghai, where cameras are everywhere, tracking your every single step. Yet, it's been already almost 10 years since Darya Bulba, an Ukrainian model, has entered a blind spot between cameras and was never seen again. Darya Bulba was born in 1995 in Odessa, Ukraine on September 25th, and she always had a passion for modeling. So by her 20s, she already had traveled to countries like Greece, Italy, and Taiwan, and also China to work there as a model. So when in 2016 she received another contract to work with a Shanghai based modeling agency, she agreed and she flew to China to work there. Even with time differences, Dasha always kept in touch with her family. That's why when on August 8th, Dasha hasn't called them or responded to any of their messages, they started to worry. So they contacted her roommate. And she said that Dasha hasn't returned home since 6th August when she went to meet someone. Daria's worried parents immediately contacted the Ukrainian consulate so that they could reach the local police. Police showed them camera footage of Daria walking back home from that meeting, and the next shot shows an empty street. Police quickly came with the conclusion that Dasha had fallen into the water and drowned there because she was under the influence of some illegal substances. And you know why they came with that conclusion? Because Daria was seen listening to music and dancing slightly. And police said that any person behaving like that is definitely under the influence of some illegal substances. Even though her friends said that Daria had been was involved in these activities before, this explanation just doesn't make sense because even if she drowned, her body or any of her belongings would have been found. But no one found anything in any possible places where her body could have been carried. Daria's mom thinks that she was eliminated because of competition as she received a contract to work with Chanel. So her mom thinks that she had some opponents that could have eliminated her. Authorities suggest that if Dasha was alive, then the millions of cameras with facial recognition technology would spotted her, but that didn't happen. So the remaining theory is that Dasha was kidnapped. Her friend said that before Dasha disappeared, someone kept calling her phone and planning meetings with Daria in one of the hotels in Shanghai. And every time Dasha went to see that person, the person never showed up. So her family thinks that whoever did this had this plan to understand how much it will take Dasha to arrive at the hotel. A model said that a few months after Dasha's disappearance, she saw her in one of the clubs, and when she called her by name, she reacted but was quickly taken away by two men. In the following month, something strange happened as someone logged into Dasha's account, but only her family had the password and only Dasha's roommate. However, Dasha's family is fully convinced that it wasn't her roommate who entered that account. And when they reported that to police, again, they didn't take them seriously. After Darya's dad returned back home to Ukraine after working with the Chinese police for almost 2 months, who also, by the way, didn't take him seriously, he receives a call from Darya's friend named Pavel, who also worked as a model in China. And Pavel says that he has information about Dasha's disappearance, but will only tell them that if her parents will pay him back the money that Dasha was meant to give him back. So when Dasha's parents said that they will give him the money only if their daughter will be found. He said that he has a ex girlfriend who's Chinese, and her brother, who works as a policeman, organized Dasha's kidnapping because his ex girlfriend was jealous of Dasha. However, the strange thing is that after Dasha's disappearance, the next day, Pavel leaves China, even though he worked there for 5 years. And later, he calls Darya's parents and tells them that whatever he told them about the policeman, about the kidnapping, is a joke. Either Dasha was kidnapped, or either, I don't know, any other theory that actually sounds normal. Because it's really strange how police at first didn't want to show Dasha's dad. They didn't want to show him the footage of Daria's last movement, but they only showed them after some Ukrainian diplomats reached the local police, and only after that they showed the last movements of Daria. So police said that Dasha hasn't left the country. They checked every hospital, even morgues, and she just vanished. She just disappeared, and in August it's gonna be 10 years since no one has heard from Daria. I don't even want to think how her family feels because that's honestly devastating. I'm going to tell you something that has been circulating online. So, since the Epstein files have been released, some people that are still searching for Dasha type her name in the files, Darya Bulba. And I'm going to tell you a quick summary because I'm not going to read every single file, but also some files were deleted. They were published and then the next day they were deleted. And also, I'm going to read this because I don't remember every single text from that file. So, as we know, Dasha disappeared in August 2016 at 20 years old. Now, what I'm going to read is from November December 2017. In the first file, Victoria Machova sends something to Jeffrey Epstein. I suppose she sent him some photos of girls, to which he answers as if he is choosing Bulba Ada. It may seem like Bulba Ada is one person, so Bulba last name and Ada first name. However, it's not the same person, and you'll understand why. Then Victoria asks him what time will be convenient for him. Basically, what time will be convenient for the meeting. In the next file, Epstein responds to Victoria by rejecting Bulba, saying that the others are okay, and asking if she knows them, to which she answers him that I know Bulba more than others, met them at the party. In another file, Victoria starts listing girls, so he can choose who to meet. She writes that Elena, Bulba, and Asya tomorrow, and Ada can do Friday. So we understand that Bulba Ada is not the same person. And there were some files where the name Dasha was mentioned. And also in one of the files, it was mentioned that she was 20 years old. But we know that in 2017, Dasha was supposed to be, I guess, 21. So maybe her age was intentionally um 20 because we know that Epstein has. Mhm. Now, in another file, Victoria introduces Epstein to her friend Alina from Ukraine. Then she says that if he wants to, she'll reach another girls from Ukraine. So, Now, why is it possible that it was actually Darya Bulba in these files? First of all, the mention of Dasha Bulba, approximate age, and also the mention of other girls from Ukraine. Russian Rapunzel is the nickname for Ruslana Korshunova, a model who was found dead on the streets of New York near her apartment.
Of 20-year-old supermodel Ruslana Korshunova sent shockwaves through New York. People are grieving, laying flowers, and lighting candles at the place where she used to live.
Imagine New York, yet no one witnessed her fall, and also, while she was a Russian Rapunzel, her hair was all cut off. Ruslana was born on 2nd July 1987 in Almaty. She had a passion for modeling, and when she was 16, she appeared in a German magazine and was noticed by a British scout who offered her to work with a very famous modeling agency. Ruslana became famous pretty quick. By the early 20s, she already was working with brands like Dior and Chanel. On June 28, 2008, a few days before her birthday, Ruslana was found dead on the streets of New York, near her apartment. She had fallen from the ninth floor of her apartment. Police said that there were no signs of violence or struggle, and they came with the conclusion that it was a suicide. However, no note was left, even though she loved poetry and was always posting on the internet various ideas and quotes, so it was strange that she hadn't left any note. Moreover, her mom said that the day before Ruslana died, they were on call and she was in a very good mood. However, we know that depressed people don't always show that they are depressed. And she also had this to-do list for tomorrow, and she wanted to return a book to the library. So for her mom, it seemed strange that it was a. Another fact is that Ruslana was afraid of heights, so even to smoke, she wasn't going to the balcony but to the staircase. It is known that Ruslana Korshunova was part of a cult called Rosa Mira that practiced intense psychological courses. And also, her friend was part of this cult. And a year after Ruslana's death, her friend also committed suicide. A journalist from Novaya Gazeta decided to take these courses to understand what's going on from the inside, and after just a few courses, she developed deep depression and was transferred to a mental hospital, and she was silent about what happened in there for 11 years. Only in 2019, she wrote a short article about what was going on in there, and she said, like in a summary, that people were called a nothing there, and that she also developed big paranoia. She was scared of people. She was scared to go out. So also after Ruslana's death, this whole Rosa Mira quickly shut down because they said that they don't have clients or however some things don't make sense because she was found 15 meters away from her apartment. I'm going to put a quick photo so you understand what I'm talking about. So even if she like ran, I don't think it would be possible to jump that high, and I mean in that length, if you get what I mean. So this just doesn't make sense. Also, her hair was cut off as I mentioned, and her face wasn't like didn't have a single thing on it. I mean, the way it was before, when she died, it remained the same. So her face wasn't touched, and that is strange as well. Either someone threw her out of her balcony, like two people were holding her and they threw her out, or someone from a car threw her out on the floor.
There are a lot of versions how it happened. I managed to gather the facts of what happened that day, and I also have the doctor's reports about them. For the US jurisdiction, these documents don't mean anything, and I honestly don't know if anything matters to them at all. A major medical expert from Ukraine looked at these reports and all the data we could gather, and she came to the conclusion that she was hit by a car. The injuries from a car crash are very similar to the injuries from a fall like that.
So you don't believe that she fell from ninth floor?
You had to see the shape of the building and the distance at which she supposedly fell. The first police that came there were looking for evidence on the opposite side of the street. If she would have done it herself, police wouldn't need to do all the work that they had. This happens in Manhattan, in financial district, in the middle of the day. They couldn't find a single camera that captured anything, not a single witness that could confirm what happened. There was one camera pointing at the street. No one took data from it either. It seems as if someone deliberately tries to erase any traces of evidence of what actually happened there.
Have you been at the place where it happened?
Yes, I've been there. I visited the apartment and we went through the whole building and they tried to explain me how she did it. I looked from the window and it is just not possible to fall so far.
Recent court documents related to Jeffrey Epstein revealed that at the age of 18, Ruslana was flown to Epstein's Little St. James Island on his infamous private Boeing 727 aircraft known as the Lolita Express. This plane was allegedly used to transport young girls to the island in the company of wealthy and influential men. Flight logs showed that Korshunova boarded the Lolita Express in New York on June 7, 2006, destined for the notorious private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. What happened to both models, Dasha and Ruslana, is very sad, and it's something that doesn't let you sleep at night because you don't know if Ruslana actually committed or she was killed, or it's just too many questions, or if Dasha was killed, or maybe if she disappeared because she wanted to. I mean, there were some theories online that she started a new life and did some plastic surgeries. We don't know about that, but maybe we will live to the day when we will find out what happened to both of them. I really hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'm going to post a new video pretty soon. So thank you for watching.